Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley Lanese and I make videos on motivation and spirituality, blending the two together so that you can get the best benefit out of it. Let's get started. This week's video is on self-reliance. We are going to define what self-reliance is, then we will talk about how to build it. The good news about self-reliance is it's a skill that you can work at and you can build and you can grow. Self-reliance is an aspect of positive psychology. In 1841, Ralph Waldo Emerson made this term popular. He's not the person who invented it, but he is the person who publicized it and made it stick out in the community back in that day. Self-reliance is how much do you depend on yourself to get things done in life, or how much do you depend on others? So self-reliance is all about your own independence. It's about taking care of you. It's about being autonomous. Last week's video was on self-efficacy, which is more about the belief if you can get things done. Self-reliance is how much you actually rely on you to achieve your goals. So they're very similar, but one is more belief focused and then the other one is more ability focused. Some signs of low self-reliance are not being able to take compliments, focusing on the negative, feeling like you can't trust yourself, and deprecating yourself or making fun of yourself. If you do all those things, you probably have some low self-reliance. The good news is you're able to build it. Now, how to tell if you have high self-reliance is you feel that you're super unique and you honor that true unique nature of yourself. You trust yourself and your intuition. You don't have to be told to do things. You have a plan. You will go do it regardless if anyone tells you to do it or not. And you love compliments, but you're not fishing for them. Now on to my 7 tips. Stick around to the last tip, the 7th tip, because it ties into one of my other videos that I have. Let's get started. Tip number 1 is practice making your own choices. Now, a really good technique with this I got from a YouTube channel called Charisma on Command, and I'll link them below as I always do when I mention somebody. They say this and they have a little exercise you can do to make your own choices and make them really fast. And that exercise is when you go out to eat at a restaurant and you're looking at the menu, only take 5 minutes to decide on what you want to eat. After that, done. Do not go back and forth, because what that does is it trains you to be a quicker decision maker, to rely on yourself and take your own advice, and it increases that self-reliance within you. This also means try not to take so much advice. Now, I know in the self-efficacy video I posted last week, I did give a bullet point that said you have to be able to take constructive criticism, but advice and constructive criticism are very different. Advice is more like a life thing. Constructive criticism is more of goal-focused and something you're working on. So just take others' advice with a grain of salt. What this point means is when it comes to advice, try not to make all your decisions based on the advice of your friends, because you don't know where they're at in their self-love journey, and taking their advice and always going with it silences your inner voice, and then you don't rely on yourself at all. So if you take your own advice and make quicker decisions, then your self-reliance will increase. Tip number 2 is don't depend on other things to make you happy. Instead, have happiness within, or not just happiness, any emotion. When we depend on outside things for some sort of internal emotion, we're relying on those outside things. For instance, if you feel like, oh, my dog really makes me happy, and everybody's dog makes them happy, but if you rely on your pet for happiness, then that is not good, because that is the anchor that gives you happiness. When the anchor that gives you happiness should be a button that you can just turn on and off inside of you. If you rely on your partner to make you happy and you're not happy at all without them, what that's really signifying is underneath it all, you don't rely on you. You probably also don't have a whole lot of self-love. And if you guys break up, all of your self-worth and self-love just goes away. And that stuff should be internal. It should not be what you're seeking for in a partner. Think of it this way. Think of your self-reliance as a table. And if you rely on yourself then your table has one pillar that comes up from the bottom. So it will hold the table up no matter what. Now, if you don't rely on yourself, see the table as a table with 4 legs. Okay? Leg here, leg there, leg there, leg there. And if you rely on your boyfriend or your girlfriend to give you self-reliance and self-worth and love and happiness, if you guys break up, then that table falls over. So you want to have good self-reliance for emotions like happiness and love, because if that is the case, your table's not going to topple over. This is also another tip that I got from Charisma on Command, but just know that relying on your inner self is key. Tip number 3 is see where you rely on others, because a lot of us do rely on other people, and it is good to make a list of areas where you rely on other people, because relying on people isn't completely unhealthy. I don't want you guys to think that you just have to be completely autonomous and independent and nobody can tell you what to do. Like, no, do not take that away from this video, because everything's balanced, yin and yang energy. What this video is to signify is to just make sure you rely on you more than you rely on most others. You rely on yourself 60, 70, 80% more than you rely on other people. You want to rely on people 10, 20, 30%. Make lists on where you do rely on other people and try to work towards growing out of that. Tip number 4 is accept responsibilities that you can actually achieve and try to challenge yourself. Try to accept responsibility, but just make sure that you don't say you're going to do something and then don't do it. Okay, your word means everything. If you say you're gonna do something, do it. Or then say, hey, I can't get this done in this amount of time. Communicate with people. Integrity, rapport, being able for other people to rely on you is key for self-reliance. Don't make promises you can't keep. Don't say yes to things that you can't do, but try to challenge yourself to increase your word, increase your responsibility, because that builds your reliance over time. Tip number 5 is decide on your purpose and then create a roadmap to get there. I've made videos on goals before. I will link them down below. Literally make a timeline of your life. Think of how you want your impact on the world to be by the time that you are old and everything's past. Think of your impact on the world and make a timeline where you are now to where you want to go. And you can even do it to when you're 70, 80, 90, however old you envision yourself to live to. Think of your legacy and literally write it all out. Because the more you shoot for the stars, you'll land on the moon and actually get close to your goal. Tony Robbins says, aim even farther than what you think you can do, because you will be blown away by what you actually get done when you have a solid vision. You don't have to know how you'll get there. The closer and closer you get to said goal, then you see it clearly. So don't get so overwhelmed by the little details. Those will show up. Creating a roadmap makes you rely on yourself more because you hold yourself accountable to your goals and what you said you were going to do. Tip number 6 for self-reliance is to create boundaries for yourself. Creating boundaries allows you to have parameters that you work within so that you can rely on you to get things done. For instance, if you have a lot of work to do on your goals, say you have to write a chapter tonight, if you're a writer, but then your friends hit you up and they're like, let's party. And you're like, sorry guys, I don't party on Monday nights. That's my boundary and I'm sticking to it. That's my hard and fast rule. Done. You don't allow yourself to waste any more energy into thinking, oh, maybe I could go out, have fun. And I'm not saying, everybody deserves to have a good time. But if you create boundaries, you are more likely to rely on yourself, because then you will actually achieve what you want to achieve in the long run. Tip number 7 is have self-confidence. And I created an entire video on self-confidence. Being able to rely on yourself is connected to self-confidence. All of the selfhoods are connected together, like I've mentioned in my other videos. But relying on yourself has to have self-confidence, because you have to be confident in your ability to set boundaries. You have to be confident in your ability to create a roadmap. You have to be confident in your ability to make your own choices and hold yourself accountable for where you depend on others. So that's all that I have for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You are a rock star to watch this video all the way to the end. Please hit like and subscribe and ring the bell if this video gave you any value. I post videos every week. I post them on Mondays. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.